Are you serious? Are you serious? Folks, I want to share about 10 minutes of yesterday's live broadcast. I'm interviewing Mike from around the world. We're talking about the 5 waves of energy, and the second wave is coming now. We had the first one, which was August 17th, 2015. It resulted, as it was approaching, in record earthquakes over 6.0 and record volcanic eruptions in a single year. Now the second wave is coming, much bigger than the first, and Mike from around the world will explain to us the catastrophic potential things that are going to be happening, the major auroras, the huge thunderbolts, and the earthquakes and volcanoes and things that are coming this year. I want you to listen to about 10 minutes of that interview. Here we go.
Really is going to be disruptive.
All right.
I know what true evil will face there. Well, let's talk about auroras. Can we do that real quick?
Okay, we'll talk about...
People are going to see these things.
Okay.
They're going to see these things, and it's part of the second wave. And it's going to be beautiful, but it's going to be bad. That's when people will know that the effects are going to be catastrophic. And I do mean catastrophic. So if we begin to see those, we forget about the third and the fourth and any other waves coming in. Because if we begin to see those, it will be catastrophic.
All right, Mike.
And I can explain
now let's start.
Everybody why.
Well, let's break it down for them. We've had our first ripple wave on, like you said, I believe it was August the 17th, 2015. We're now headed.
Yeah.
We're 256 days away from the second wave. Between now and then, though, I know, because you explained that last time, we start seeing the effects of this wave coming. It starts happening. The people need to know, to the best of your ability, what type of effects from this wave should we look to experience. Now, as you've probably heard me say already, I've talked to a man that said he was part of a Nibiru project in which he says to me, June and July could be very, very, very volatile for fireballs and thunderbolts, okay? Not counting earthquakes and volcanoes and stuff. Just simply those two things, there should be a significant change. I'm going to throw that out there at you, but let you walk us through what should we anticipate the rest of this year till December 26th. What should we anticipate maybe going to happen? The auroras you just mentioned, that the auroras would be a sign that there's definitely been a major shift. So help us out.
Well, yeah, because we have an issue, we have a problem. Number one, while everybody's looking for a pole flip, right, for a physical pole flip, right?
Right.
The most dangerous type of flip, just to let you know, I know they have tricked everybody into believing that a magnetic pole flip is harmless, right? Isn't that what they pretty much told everybody?
That's what they're basically telling us, yes.
Yeah, but that's wrong. That's incorrect.
Okay.
That is very deceptive at its core. You know, when I actually got angry when I began to hear people say that, and some good people have said it because they don't have all the data necessary and the dynamics. They don't know. They don't know what the other guys know, and so with a good heart, they have tried to figure some things out. But listen, if we have a magnetic pole flip in the beginning of this flip, we're going to see a degradation of the shielding of Earth. Right?
Okay.
It will go down to about zip, and it will likely last for about 7 to 14 days, possibly even weeks. Hopefully, it does not last more than one day, hopefully, and I'll tell you why. We're already dealing with increased solar winds hitting the Earth. It's having an effect in our atmosphere, even with the shielding, right?
Okay.
But without that shielding, because when it flips, and it's done this over the course of time, and we're overdue for it to flip again. Consequently, we're overdue for everything. God is holding everything back, but when it flips, the magnetic shielding around the Earth dissipates, down to its weakest level.
Okay.
So when it dissipates, there's no reflection of charged particles.
Okay.
None. So what does that mean? That means the atmosphere is going to change. The reason why people see auroras in the North and South Pole is because gases are electrified. they're electrified. Charged particles hit nitrogen and oxygen. So you get shades of red from high altitude oxygen, right? You get the pale yellow-green from oxygen molecules at about 60 miles when they're energized. You get the blue-violet from nitrogen, and then at the lower levels, you can also get nitrogen, which is in the red spectrum, right?
Okay.
Once it begins to do this, you're going to see this worldwide, but there's a problem. Not only will the atmosphere be electrified in the beginnings, because this is how we're going to know it's weakening, but around that same time, but I have to use this disclaimer, these are calculations of men. All calculations of men are subject to change pending new data that may be found, right? These are not prophecies. These are just calculations of men.
Okay.
And so to the best of mathematical ability, these things are being, I guess you could say, forecast, given a forecast. And most people don't trust the weather forecast. So you have to take this, although, these are the steps of what will likely take place.
Okay.
Right? No one's an expert on God's creation except God himself. So I just have to say that.
Okay, that's fine.
Anyway, when people begin to see the auroras and the sky is changing different colors, that's a very bad sign, because it is my belief, based upon countless talks, meetings, and just looking at data and preparatory actions of people around the globe, that we could possibly encounter this during the October-November months of this year, because our magnetosphere is fluctuating in the worst type of way now. We're having dropouts of our shielding, right?
Okay.
Dropouts of the shielding means that the inside of the Earth, that the churning has, I guess you could say, has a lot of turbulence in there. When turbulence is inside the fluid of the Earth, or that molten rock and metal and things, it causes massive fluctuations in the magnetosphere. And this is what we're seeing. So, if this weakens, Pastor Paul, number one, people will think it's beautiful at first, but then they won't be able to go outside. You're looking at volcanic eruptions on a scale never seen before. The gases have already begun to emit from the Earth. So this means that inside the Earth, it's becoming very volatile.
Okay.
Right? Gases are emitting from Yellowstone. Gases are emitting on the West Coast, and there are gases beginning to emit on the East Coast, and there are gases emitting from Mexico, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Russia, you name it. They're emitting all over the place. There are bubbles coming up from the North Pacific Ocean, and the North Atlantic is a severe trouble spot.
All right, Mike.
But,
time out. So, if the pole shifting from the magnetosphere, and when that happens, it literally almost does away with our force field. The solar winds and the solar flares will be just going straight into us. We may see spectacular auroras, but get ready for the ramifications of this would be volcanoes. In other words, in October, November, we may see spectacular auroras around the world. But then you can also anticipate, according to you, volcanoes, eruptions like never seen before. Is there a danger in these volcanoes of a super volcano somewhere? I'm not going to say Yellowstone, because there's many of them out in the Atlantic and different places. Could we see a super volcano eruption, not just only the regular volcanic eruptions?
We most certainly could. Pastor Paul. And this is why in 2013, 2014, that the armed services were training to deal with ash, right?
Yeah.
They have a special MOS now, a special designation now for people who deal with an ash environment. Now, why?
Yeah.
Because we're going to have to deal with an ash environment. You're looking at perpetual eruptions. You know what's worse than a super eruption? Small eruptions all around the globe. Because a super eruption is so bad, certainly for the immediate area, but the ash is the problem.
So you're talking about an ash?
That's just like
an ash environment. We may be going into this October, November and start to experience an ash environment from so many different eruptions. I mean, we've seen eruptions, Mike, that has disrupted air travel for a week. I mean, literally have to shut down airports and air travel in Europe or different places. So we may not have a super volcano go off, but we may have so many other volcanoes going off that the ash, which affects planes, I mean, the engines, it affects breathing. I mean, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, because ash is small shards of glass, and they will just burn the lining of your lungs and everything else. And then you're looking at something catastrophic. Now, if we see those auroras around that November timeframe, then you can almost count on something not so good happening after that, because we'll be in a volatile position. That means our shielding is gone.
Okay.
And we don't need a CME to begin to ignite things and to begin to experience some of these things. So that also means that prior to that time, now that's just with the Earth's shielding, if it goes down. If the Earth's shielding is strengthened, then we're going to notice a heaviness in the atmosphere, which means dramatic pressure changes. We're going to see that anyway. We're going to see dramatic pressure changes leading up to the second wave. Dramatic pressure changes. Okay. Now that is going to mean that your standard cumulonimbus clouds, your storm clouds, are going to become very compact. And when they're compact, they're going to be very highly charged at their tops. So then people in space will see more and more sprites coming from the clouds going straight up out into space. And we're going to notice much more intense lightning storms and plasma conduits forming on the Earth, as there have been two, to my knowledge, spotted in the last 2 months. There have been two in the last 2 months. It's a phenomenon, and they're very dangerous, and they somewhat form out of the blue. It is not lightning. It is a plasma conduit, and it will sustain itself for about 2 seconds, and then it's gone.
So will we see, these thunderbolts, will we see large hail like in Texas? We just had huge hail in Texas, and we have these thunderbolts that are they going, if the pressure changes drastically come October, November, will we see, besides a lot of volcanoes filling the air with ash, are we also going to see even stronger thunderbolts and hail than what we've seen?
Yeah, because as these gases continue to emit from the Earth, right, it's going to take the equilibrium of the atmosphere and begin to fluctuate that equilibrium.
Are you serious? Give your life to Jesus Christ. We're running out of time.